I knew my marriage was over the moment my wife paused the video and her mother finally shut up. I'm in a lawyer's office with my wife on one side, my mother-in-law on the other, and a flat-screen TV in front of us. The lawyer taps the spacebar, and there we are on screen, my kitchen, my house. Except I'm not in this scene. It's just my wife, Emily, and her mother, Carol. Carol is in full performance mode, clutching a mug she didn't pay for, in a house she doesn't own, telling my wife in a soft, trembling voice that I'm controlling, abusive, and dangerous when he's angry. Emily covers her mouth. You don't see it, honey, video Carol says. Abuse isn't always bruises. It's tone. It's when he questions what you spend, who you talk to. He's isolating you. Except I know, because I was in the next room when she said that in real life, that the only thing I'd questioned was why she'd taken my debit card and spent $280 on candles. Watching Emily hear her mother say it again on video, without the filter of loyalty and guilt, that's when I see it. The moment she realizes this isn't about protecting her. It's about control. About my mother-in-law building a little empire inside my house. One camera ended it. But to understand how we got to a lawyer's office with my marriage on a TV screen, let me back up. My name's Adam. I'm 34. I don't yell, don't drink, pay the bills on time. Not perfect, but not the man Carol's describing. I met Emily at a friend's game night. Her mom called twice that evening to check she got home safe, even though she was sitting on the couch next to me. Emily just rolled her eyes and said, "She's like that. It's just us two since my dad left. We got married. Small ceremony." Carol cried through the whole thing, clinging to Emily like she was losing a daughter. Her toast should have been my first real clue. You always have a home with me if things don't work out. 3 years into our marriage, Carol temporarily moved in. Just for a few weeks, Emily promised. Her condo's full of mold. She can't stay there. Please, Adam. What was I supposed to do? Say no? Carol showed up with 2 mini suitcases and a long look around. This is cozy, she said, which is mom code for smaller than I hoped my daughter would end up in. She rearranged the spice cabinet, commented on my cooking, hogged the TV. Emily rolled her eyes behind her back and mouthed sorry. We joked in bed that we could survive 3 weeks. We did not. Once Carol realized we weren't kicking her out, she shifted from house guest to queen of the castle. It started small. I'd say, I'm going to pay the credit card, and Carol would call from the couch. Do you really need to watch what she spends like that? It's stressful for her. Or Emily would mention brunch with friends, and Carol would add, he doesn't like when you go out without him, does he? I'd laugh, go have fun. But I saw the flicker in Emily's eyes. Seeds planted. Then Carol wandered in while we were doing taxes. One glance at my laptop and suddenly she knew my salary, Emily's salary, and that I was covering most of the mortgage. Oh, she said. So the house is really his, then. The deed's in both our names, I said. She smiled at Emily. On paper. But if he's paying most, he'll always feel like it's his house. That's how men are. That night, Emily asked, do you feel like this is more your house than mine? No, I said. It's ours. What? Just asking. She wasn't just asking. The few weeks became months. Just until the bathroom's done. Then, with rent going up, it doesn't make sense to go back. One morning over coffee, Carol dropped the mask. It just feels safer here, she told Emily, giving me a quick glance. Being alone is hard. At least here I know you're okay. He seems less scary with me watching. She said like I wasn't sitting 3 feet away. Emily squeezed her hand. I laughed. Nobody laughed with me. The first real explosion happened over cereal. I came home exhausted, opened the pantry, and 3 boxes fell out because Carol had reorganized again. For the love of, can we please stop moving everything every other day? I muttered. Normal volume. Frustrated, not furious. Carol gasped like I'd thrown something. Emily rushed in. What's going on? Nothing, I said. Just couldn't find something. He yelled at me. Carol whispered. It's okay. I know he's stressed. I know how men get when they feel threatened. I didn't yell, I said, jaw tight. I just asked. You raised your voice, she said, eyes shiny. It scared me, that's all. Emily's eyes hardened. Adam, you can't talk to her like that, she snapped. She's a guest. A guest who lives here rent-free and keeps moving our stuff, slipped out. Carol flinched. There it is, she whispered. Our stuff. His house. His rules. Emily looked at me like I was a stranger. Sleep in the guest room tonight, she said. I need some space. In my own house. Because I complained about cereal. That night, lying in the guest bed while my mother-in-law slept across the hall and my wife slept alone in our room, one thought kept looping. What is she saying to Emily when I'm not in the room? And how the hell was I supposed to prove it? After the cereal outburst, something shifted. I stopped being Emily's husband in our house. I became the villain her mother was slowly writing in her head. It was in 1,000 tiny moments. If I said, "Hey, can you tell me when you move money from the joint account?" I got an overdraft notice. Carol would murmur, "You don't need to monitor every dollar she spends, Adam. That's financial control." If I asked, "What time are you guys getting back from dinner?" It became, "You don't have to report your schedule to him like he's your probation officer, honey." If I mentioned needing a quiet evening because work was insane, Carol would take Emily's hand and say, "That's how it starts. They isolate you so you have no one but them." Every normal boundary, every basic question, rebranded as abuse. And Emily started repeating it. One night, I reached for her hand on the couch and she pulled away. "I just need space," she said, from holding my hand. I asked, trying to keep it light. "It's not about the hand," she snapped. "It's about you always needing something. Mom says it's emotional labor." "I'm exhausted, Adam." Mom says. That phrase became the soundtrack. Mom says you've been tense. Mom says you're controlling. Mom says you don't like her. One evening when Carol was out for a walk, I tried to talk to Emily alone. "I feel like everything I do is being translated," I said. "Carol has an opinion on every breath I take, and it's always the worst possible version. We need space from her." Emily's eyes flashed. "She's my mother," she said. "She gave up everything for me. She's just looking out for me. Maybe if you didn't give her reasons to be worried." "What reasons?" I asked. "Name one thing I've done that's actually abusive." She opened her mouth, and nothing came out. Because there wasn't anything concrete. Just vibes. Just whispers. Then Carol's key turned in the lock, and the conversation evaporated. That night, I ended up back in the guest room because Mom heard you raising your voice through the walls. I hadn't. Didn't matter. Reality in our house wasn't what happened. Reality was whatever Carol felt. I started spending more time at work. At least there, if someone thought I was controlling, it was because I'd actually sent a calendar invite. One late night, my coworker Mark asked why I looked like I hadn't slept in a month. I told him everything. He listened, then said 7 words that changed everything. "Have you thought about documenting this? Like writing it down?" I asked. "Like getting proof," he said. "Because if it ever blows up, and it sounds like it might, you're going to need more than she said," I said, "against 2 people living in your house." The idea made me feel slimy at first. Recording my own wife? My own kitchen? But then I thought about being labeled emotionally abusive in a divorce court based on nothing but repeated stories, and slimy started feeling a lot like survival. I booked a consult with a family lawyer just to get information. Her name was Patel. Mid-40s, calm, zero drama. I laid everything out. Mother-in-law moves in, tension, abuse, narrative, guest room exile. She didn't look surprised. "I see this dynamic a lot," she said. "One person gets to control the story because the other person is too afraid of looking crazy to push back." "What do I do?" I asked. "First," she said, "calm down. You're not crazy. Second, stop arguing. Start gathering facts. You're allowed to record video in your own common areas, especially if you're worried about false allegations. Just be smart. No bathrooms, no bedrooms. Kitchen, living room, hallway? Fine. So a camera," I said. "A camera," she confirmed. "If your mother-in-law is really saying these things when you're not around, at some point she'll say them in front of a lens." I ordered a small Wi-Fi camera disguised as a smoke detector. Installed it in the kitchen on a Saturday morning while Carol was at yoga and Emily was in the shower. It faced the table, the place where most of the poison got poured. For 3 days, I didn't check the footage. Honestly, I was scared I'd see nothing, that it really was all in my head. On day 4, after another argument where Emily told me I made her feel unsafe because I sighed when Carol left dishes stacked in the sink, I opened the app at midnight, alone in the guest room. I scrubbed through hours of empty kitchen. Then I hit pay dirt. Clip number 1. Tuesday, 2:14 p.m. Emily at the table with a sandwich. Carol making tea. "He seemed tense this morning," Carol said. "He was just tired." Emily replied. Honey, Carol said, sitting down. You don't have to minimize it. Men like Adam, they're always simmering. My ex was the same. One day it's a sigh, the next day it's a slammed door. He's never hit me, Emily said quickly. Yet, Carol answered. My hands clenched. CLIP number 2. Thursday, 11:06 a.m. Emily washing dishes. Carol leaning on the counter. You know, if you ever decide you've had enough, you won't be alone, Carol said. I talked to a lawyer friend. With how much you do here, and how controlling he is, you'd get the house. Especially if you document how he talks to you. I don't want a divorce, Emily protested. I just want him to be softer. Then stop making excuses, Carol said. Next time he raises his voice, write it down. If he asks where you're going, save the texts. It's a pattern. Judges care about patterns. Clip number 3, Friday, 3:32 p.m. This was the one that ended me. Carol recording on her own phone. Okay, she said to Emily. Let's practice. I'll be you, you be him. You need to stop sounding so apologetic when you tell the story. If he's abusive, he's abusive. Own it. Emily laughed nervously. Mom, this is a lot. You want to be trapped with a man like my ex forever? Carol shot back. Then yes, it's a lot. Now, say it again. He makes me feel unsafe when he questions my spending. He makes me feel unsafe when he questions my spending. Emily repeated, staring at the table. He's controlling, Carol prompted. He's controlling, Emily echoed. And you're scared, Carol whispered. Emily hesitated. I'm confused, she said. Not scared. Carol's jaw tightened. You will be, she muttered. Trust me. I paused the video there. Sat in the dark, my own kitchen glowing on a tiny screen, listening to my mother-in-law rehearse my wife on how to paint me as an abuser. Any part of me that still thought this was a misunderstanding died right then. This wasn't concern. This was strategy. I copied the clips, backed them up in 3 different places, printed transcripts. Then I emailed Ms. Patel one line. We need to talk. Because if Carol wanted a performance, fine. We'd give her an audience. In a room with a judge's name on the door. Ms. Patel watched the first clip without saying a word. Just leaned back in her chair, pen tapping her notebook as my mother-in-law calmly suggested my wife start building a case to take my house. When Carol said, with how much you do here, and how controlling he is, you'd get the house, Patel paused the video herself. How long has she been living with you? She asked. 3 months, I said. She nodded slowly. Good news and bad news, she said. Bad news. If this kept going and you had no proof, she could absolutely help your wife paint you as controlling. Good news, this? She pointed at the frozen frame of Carol, is gold. You're not crazy. She's actively coaching your wife to exaggerate normal conflict into abuse for leverage. So what do? I asked. We bring your wife in, Patel said. Offer marriage counseling with a lawyer, so to speak. Calm setting. Neutral. And then we let Carol speak for herself. You think Emily will come? I asked. She thinks you're the problem, Patel said. Of course she'll come. She'll expect a lecture about your behavior. Instead, she's going to watch her mother on a screen. The plan felt ruthless. It also felt fair, because I'd spent 3 months getting tried in a court with no evidence. It was time to introduce some. Getting Emily to that office took 1 sentence. My lawyer thinks we should talk about where this is heading before anyone says divorce. Her eyes filled immediately. So you admit it's bad? She whispered. Yes, I said. Bad enough that we need help. Is Mom coming? She asked. Every cell in my body wanted to say absolutely not. Instead, I lied to her for the first time in our marriage. Patel said it's up to us, I said. If you want her there, she can be there. Of course she wanted her there. Of course Carol was delighted at the idea of sitting in a lawyer's office to discuss my behavior. She wore that tight little victory smile she'd been polishing since the cereal bowl. We sat around a polished conference table. Me, Emily, Carol, and Ms. Patel at the head. Patel started like any other professional. Thank you all for coming, she said. My role is to help couples understand their options before things get worse. This isn't about picking sides, it's about clarity. Carol jumped in before Emily could open her mouth. I'm very glad you're here, she said. I've been worried about my daughter for a long time. The way he talks to her, the control, the anger. Patel held up a hand. I'll give everyone time, she said calmly. But I want to start with something specific. She turned her monitor around so it faced the table. Black screen. 1 click. My kitchen appeared. Emily frowned. What is this? A common space in your home, Patel said. Mr. Adams was concerned about escalating accusations. He started documenting interactions in shared areas. Perfectly legal, by the way. No audio laws violated. No private rooms. Carol's face went pale. You recorded us? She snapped at me. In my house, I said. Yes. You sneaky little. Patel hit play. Clip number 2. The one where Carol calmly advised my wife how to get the house and document my control. The room went quiet except for the speakers. Next time he raises his voice, write it down, Screen Carol said. If he asks where you're going, save the texts. It's a pattern. Judges care about patterns. Real Carol's jaw actually dropped. Emily's eyes ping-ponged between the screen and her mother. Mom, what is this? She whispered. It's out of context, Carol blurted. We were just talking. You know how video makes things look worse, sweetheart. Patel didn't pause. Clip number 3 started. Carol rehearsing lines like she was directing a play. You need to stop sounding so apologetic when you tell the story. If he's abusive, he's abusive. Own it. Emily on the screen. I'm confused. Not scared. Screen Carol. You will be. Trust me. Real Emily flinched like she'd been slapped. I don't remember saying that, she breathed. That's the point of repetition, Patel said quietly. You repeat a story enough times, you stop remembering what actually happened and just remember the script. Carol tried to recover. Any mother would be protective, she said quickly. I was just preparing her in case. In case what? Patel asked, turning to her for the first time. In case he became abusive? Or in case you wanted to build a record that he already was? Carol's mouth opened and closed. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Mom, did you really talk to a lawyer about me getting the house? She asked, voice shaking. Before I even thought about divorce? Carol reached for her hand. Honey, you were so unhappy, she said. I was scared for you. I needed to know you'd be okay if you left. That's all. Play the first clip, I said quietly. Patel did. The one where Carol said if Emily left, she'd make sure I looked like the bad guy, because judges hate controlling men. When it ended, Patel finally paused. Here's my concern, she said, looking at Emily. For 3 months, you've been telling yourself, and me, in your intake form, that your husband is controlling, angry, maybe emotionally abusive. But when I ask for examples, they're all normal conflict. Dishes, schedules, money talks. The only strategy one sees here is your mother planning how to turn those into evidence. Emily stared down at the table, knuckles white. Adam still raised his voice. Carol snapped. He still made her feel small. You can't deny how he's treated her. I'm not saying he's perfect, Patel said evenly. I'm saying there's a difference between my husband can be an ass sometimes and my husband is an abuser. And you seem determined to collapse that gap. Then she turned to me. Adam, she said, why did you really install the camera? Because I could feel myself being rewritten, I said. Like the story of our marriage was being ghost-written by someone who hated men. I was scared that one day I'd wake up served with papers saying I was dangerous when all I'd ever done was argue about cereal and screen time. Emily let out a choked laugh that turned into a sob. That's not fair, she whispered. You make it sound like I'm stupid. Like I can't think for myself. Patel shook her head. You're not stupid, she said gently. You're loyal to the woman who raised you. And loyalty is a beautiful thing until someone weaponizes it. Carol slammed her hand on the table. So what now? She demanded. You've humiliated me, congrats. You going to blame me for every problem in your marriage? Is that the plan? Patel looked at Emily, not her. What happens now? She said. Depends on one question. She slid the remote across to my wife. Whose story do you believe? She asked softly. The one your mother's been repeating? Or the one you can actually see and hear? Emily stared at the little black remote like it was a detonator. Her thumb hovered over the buttons. Then she did something I honestly didn't expect. She rewound. Watched the same clips again. Only this time, she didn't flinch. This time, she watched her mother. Really watched her. Her tone. Her body language. The casual way she planted fear like seeds. By the time she stopped the video, tears were streaming down her face. She pushed the remote away like it burned. I need air, she whispered, standing up on shaky legs. Carol started. Emily held up a hand without looking at her. Don't, she said hoarsely. Just don't say anything right now. She walked out of the conference room. door closing softly behind her. For the first time since Carol moved into my house, I saw my mother-in-law's confidence crack. "Those recordings won't look good in court," Patel said mildly, "especially paired with a sudden decision to accuse your son-in-law of abuse after you moved into his property rent-free." Carol's face hardened. "You think you've won," she hissed at me. "But she's still my daughter. Blood is thicker than whatever this is. She'll come home with me. She always does." Maybe, maybe not. Because this time, when Emily walked back into that room, she didn't sit next to her mother. She sat down in the empty chair beside me. Her hand was still shaking, but it was on my side of the table. Her fingers brushed my sleeve and then pulled back, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to be there. Carol saw it and went rigid. "Emily," she snapped, "come sit with me. We're leaving. This is a setup." Emily didn't move. "How long?" she asked quietly. Carol frowned. "How long what, sweetheart? How long have you been planning my divorce for me?" Carol forced a laugh. "Don't be dramatic. I was protecting you." "They're time-stamped," Emily said. "You were talking about me leaving Adam before I ever said I was unhappy. You decided I was miserable and then repeated it until I believed you." "That's not true," Carol shot back. "You came to me in tears." "I came to you tired and sick," Emily cut in. "You're the one who called a stomach bug a sign of control because Adam asked you to give me space." Even Patel blinked at that. "Mrs. Adams," Patel said, "that's not abuse. That's basic boundaries." Emily let out a shaky laugh. "What else did you rewrite?" she asked. "Normal arguments? Bad days. We used to fight and fix it. Then you moved in, and suddenly everything he did was a red flag." Carol's chair screeched as she stood. "You are not talking to me like this," she hissed. "I gave up my life to help you. You moved in because your rent went up," Emily said. "We let you. We thought it was temporary." Patel looked at Emily. "I'm going to be blunt," she said. "Your mother can't keep living in your home if this marriage has any chance. You have to choose whose voice runs your life." Emily stared at her hands. When she finally spoke, her voice shook, but it didn't wobble. "I need Mom out of the house." Carol actually staggered. "You're choosing him over your own mother?" she whispered. "After he's spying on you? After he put one camera in a shared kitchen," Emily said. "You put your voice in my head." That line just sat there. Patel stood. "Then we're done," she said. "Adam and I will handle the legal side. Timeline, locks, money. Emily, I'll email you therapists who aren't related to you." Emily nodded. "Okay." Carol looked between us, realizing the room wasn't orbiting her anymore. "You'll regret this," she told Emily. "One day you'll see I was right about him." "Mom," Emily said softly. "Please stop." Carol grabbed her purse and stormed out. The door slammed. "I'm not asking you to cut her off forever," I said. "She's your mom. I get that. But I can't keep living with her commentary track on our marriage." Emily wiped her cheeks. "I know," she whispered. "I don't know how I didn't see it. She's been doing this my whole life, turning every choice into a crisis only she can fix." Patel slipped out to grab paperwork, leaving us alone. Emily turned to me. "Did I hurt you that much?" she asked. "Believing her over you?" I could have unloaded everything. Instead, I gave her one moment. "The other night," I said, "you were late. I texted you okay, and your mom told you I was tracking you. You looked at me like I was some controlling stranger. You actually flinched when I reached for your hand." She winced. "I'm sorry," she said. "I am so sorry." "I know," I said. "But sorry isn't a reset button. We both have to earn this back." I hit a camera instead of confronting you. "That's on me." "If you'd told me," she said quietly, "I would have run straight to her. She would have twisted it into proof you were paranoid. Seeing it like this was the only way I was ever going to believe you." We left with a simple plan. Carol gone in 2 weeks. Separate bank accounts. Couples therapy, with one rule: no play-by-play for Mom. If Emily needed to vent, it had to be to a neutral therapist, not the woman rehearsing cross-examinations. The night Carol moved her last box out, the house felt wrong. Too quiet. Like we were hearing the fridge for the first time because her commentary was finally gone. We didn't magically snap back. We still argued. But now it was about real problems, not whatever story Carol would approve. We talked about my tone, her reflex to run to her mother, how easily we'd handed the steering wheel to someone who wasn't in the marriage. Some days I thought we'd make it. Some days I didn't. But at least now, when we fought, it was just us. As for Carol, she tried to drift back in, just dropping food, just helping with laundry. We kept saying no. Boundaries, I've learned, aren't a speech. They're 100 boring decisions where you keep choosing peace over someone else's drama. It's been a year. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's ours again. So that's my story. My mother-in-law moved in just for a few weeks, whispered until my wife saw me as the villain, and almost blew up our marriage, until one camera caught who was really pulling the strings. Do I think everyone should spy on their family? No. But if someone is poisoning your house and calling it love, you're allowed to get proof and protect yourself. What about you? If you caught a relative turning your partner against you like this, would you expose them or keep the peace for the sake of family? Let me know in the comments. And if you stayed till the end, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more real-life stories.